All right, today we are going to go through a couple of different things, not a very long episode, but I want to talk a little bit about the difference between the high school live period in June and the AAU periods in the spring and summer, and why I just found this out. Probably some people here are a lot smarter than me, but why they exist the way that they do. We're going to go through some players who really helped themselves. I'm going to be leaning on my friend Hector Marquez over at Prep Hoops and sharing some information that he dropped, and couldn't agree more. I was actually going through the players. I was like, yep, yep, yep. So talk about some of the players, do a quick introduction to a new sponsor, and we'll look forward to July and kind of take a look at how some of the club teams, we already did a recap, but what are they looking forward to in the month of July? And what are some things of consequence that are going to be out there for some clubs to go out and get, as specifically as a club. So excited about this episode. Like I said, should be quick. Let's get right to it. This is the Utah High School Hoops Podcast, your source for sometimes informative, but always entertaining coverage of the Utah high school hoop scene. With your host, Adam Peak. Okay, everybody. So this has nothing to do with Utah high school basketball per se, but the NBA season is in kind of this post NBA draft. It was really cool to be able to go out to the NBA draft. I was in Brooklyn for work. I was in New York City for work, but I went over, got to go to the draft. It's a pretty unique event in terms of a sporting event to go to. But one thing that I'm excited about is tomorrow I'm going to be, this is a little teaser, I'm going to be going up to Weber State and interviewing Coach Russell up there. And so I got to see Dylan Jones get drafted in the first round. It's a really remarkable story. There's a bunch of remarkable stories, right? Derek White just signed a massive contract. I think it's like 35 million or something like that a year. And Derek White is a unrecruited player from the state of Colorado. Dalton Connect, also state of Colorado, who just kept going, right? They just kept going, and they didn't stop. Derek White was a walk-on at University of Colorado, Colorado Springs, a Division II school. Dalton Connect went to Northeastern, I think, Community Colorado, Northeastern Community College, I think. These guys took totally different paths, and they both became first-round draft picks. Dalton Connect went to the Lakers. Derek White was drafted by the Spurs. Derek White just signed a big contract. So it's really great, and I hope it's encouraging to you that these guys who are not getting written up on the ESPN Top 100 or the On 150, these are tremendous accomplishments, and shout out to the players who make it there. But the goal of your work is not to make a list. The goal of your work should be to improve and to get to the next step. All right. So it was just neat. It was neat to be able to be out there and see that. So I was thinking about this today. I'm like, why does it happen the way that it happens? So you have the high school season stops, and then it's almost directly into AAU for a lot of programs and for a lot of people. And then from there, there's like this weird break in the month of June. Weird to me, because then it's like, okay, now high school teams are playing. And, I talked about the teams who were balling out at Section 7. First of all, I apologize to the Layton Christian Eagles. They also had a great Section 7. They went 2-2 with some tough losses. I didn't mention them in the podcast, but I wrote them up in the show notes. But you had like Section 7. We were out at the Colorado Live Showcase. There's TABC. I know there was just a Cali Showcase. There was a tournament up in Seattle, I think. So these high school teams, they get together and they go out and play. And then right back into July with AAU live periods. I'm like, what is going on with this? I think I realized what it is. I didn't ask anybody. This is just my opinion. The style of play, typically, this is not always the case, but typically in AAU tends to be a little bit more like man defense, some pretty limited offensive sets, and you are seen in a bit of a different environment. A lot of AAU teams bring in kids from all across the bordering states, and so getting time in the gym to practice is difficult. It's a unique kind of experience. The teams are sort of evolving. I've started to even see things like players like I'm committing to play for this AAU team for July, and there's a whole like graphic about it. I'm like, okay, why don't you just go? I don't understand that part of it. But there's fluidity on the roster, and it's just a different kind of style of basketball. Now, again, that is not every single AAU team. There are plenty of AAU teams who run really good sets, who play team basketball. As a matter of fact, those are the teams who tend to win versus the teams who are like, we'll just roll it out and trust that we grabbed the 10 best people we could, and we're just going to go play. I don't always think that works out. So you have that style of basketball typically. Then, if you're a coach and you're recruiting a player, maybe you can get to see him during the live periods in the spring, but you probably did not or struggled to watch them play in person during their actual high school season. Now, again, this is a big generalization, but typically a high school team is going to be a bit more cohesive. Will have run some sets and run some plays. You're going to probably see some different types of defenses. You're going to have their high school coach and probably some assistant coaches as well. It's a little bit more structured. It's still the summer. There's still some transitions of players and stuff like that. But for the most part, I think it gives the coaches just a little bit of a different angle to watch the players, and maybe even a little bit more of how are they going to fit in as a freshman or a sophomore here at this school. And then you can also see their growth. So the third period, which is coming up here in July for AAU, you can then see, well, have they developed? Have they grown? Have they been putting in the work? Have they been in the gym? As a 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old boy, like, you can really put on muscle. You can really, get in the gym and run and have good conditioning, and that, like, there's a lot that you can do from the time maybe they got to see you in May till they see you in July. So the cool part about this live period coming up here in the second weekend in July is that it's going to show who's been just sitting around not doing much and who's been putting in the work. Um, and so I'm excited to kind of see what happens with some of these teams, to see the players who are growing, to see the people who are progressing. I saw this great clip. If I remember, I'll put a link in the bottom here, by the head coach at Texas A&M, Buzz Williams, and he talks about how you need to focus on your inputs and not your outcomes. Too many players today, especially today, are focused on the immediacy of the outcome. Did my ranking change? Did I get the IG clips? Did I get the videos? Did I get a mixtape? It's like, no. Did I get the offer? Focus on your inputs, build good habits. And when you can do those things, then you can start to see the outcomes follow. This just happens in life. This isn't just a basketball thing. I talk about this in my full-time job. So you begin to see through the summer who is really putting in the work and who is really looking for the results, but not putting in the work, because the results don't come to those who aren't putting in the work for the most part, unless you're insanely talented or whatever. So I think that's important, because I've been, I'm also a dad. I have a son who is going to be a junior in high school, and I got to know Jasper, who I just had on the podcast. I got to go down there, see the facility down in Highland. It's called the Elite Institute, the Elite Health and Performance Institute. Sports Fit, not Elite, Sports Fit Health and Performance Institute. I don't know where I got elite from, because it is elite, honestly. And the work that you can put in there in that facility, there's a basketball hoop right next to it. And if that court is not being filled with practice or, something like that from another team, or a game or something, then you can go get in your workout. They got a shooting gun. You can roll out that shoot. It's incredible. And so I know I want to talk about this a little bit because it's important. This is the turning point. You are halfway through the summer, players. You are halfway through the summer here. School's going to be starting up. Don't be too depressed, but school's going to be starting up in, whatever, 6 weeks, 5, 6 weeks, maybe 7. I'm not entirely sure. But if you didn't do it the first part of the summer, this is your time to get into it. And I cannot recommend what Jasper is doing down at Sports Fit enough. He's got all the tools. It's like Batman. It's like the Bat Cave. It's like, where does he get all these wonderful toys? He's got all the tools to measure your progress, to track your progress, and to help you focus on those inputs. And so I highly recommend going down, check it out. It's down in Highland. It's called Sports Fit. I'll make sure all the links are here. You can find him he's been all over Instagram. He's got a limited amount of spots left. It's like, I want to say 30 now, 30 to 35 spots left. So it's going to fill up. It's going to fill up. And if you're listening to this podcast, I really appreciate you. And I want you to know about it. I don't have any special discount code. I don't get paid any money from Jasper to say this stuff. I'm just telling you, it is a world-class elite facility down there, and you should go check out Sports Fit. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break here. And when we come back, I'm going to go through an article from Prep Hoops on players who helped themselves in June. And we're going to look forward to July at what some of the teams are looking at, what their records are and the things that they're going to be looking at going forward. We'll be right back.
How the heck are you supposed to eat 5 servings of fruits and vegetables a day? And as a mom, I think I figured it out. Ruby. Ruby is the only way. Open, pour, shake, drink. My kids love Ruby because it tastes so good. And when in your life are you going to get this many fruits and vegetables in just one serving? Like I get to eat my McKee berry. Trust me on this one. Try it once and you will not regret it. Your kids won't even complain that they have to drink it. It's that good.
And you won't regret going to goruvi.com and using code Adam15 to get 15% off your purchase. That's goruvi, GORUVI.com, and use code Adam15 for 15% off your purchase. All right, we are back. Going to take a look here at 2025 players who helped themselves in the month of June. This is over at prephoops.com/Utah. It is a subscription site. Again, I know people are a little bit confused as to maybe why I promote places that I don't get any money from or anything, but I just think you should go consume good content. So you should go out, subscribe to prephoops.com. I am not affiliated. Hector's a good dude. He works his butt off for this community. So I like to support him over here. All right. So let's go take a look here at some 2025 players who helped themselves. And we're down in the article, we're going to see Noah Benninger, but Noah has really, really had a great offseason. I think Noah is a player who is putting in the work, who is trusting the inputs. I see him in the gym, and you can tell what's happening now is the outcomes are matching the inputs. He is just an elite scorer. I think there's a lot of people who are looking at Corner Canyon like, hey, can they get back there? Can they get back to the championship game? Are they going to make noise? And if they're going to do it, it's going to be because Noah and others, right? But Noah really leveled up his senior year, took the team on his back and said, we're not going to lose and I'm not going to let us lose. So Noah's in the article. I'll kind of read what Hector wrote about Noah, but I know he's just been on a scoring barrage down at Section 7 during the month of June. And I wasn't down there to watch it. I'm just going off of what I read. So first player I know well because my son plays at Team Utah and at Judge Memorial is JJ Apathchang. JJ committed. So huge shout out to JJ, committed at Northern Kentucky. I got to meet one of their coaches, came all the way out to Colorado at the Colorado Live Showcase, watched him play. JJ dropped 42 on Arapahoe, went out that same week, took his official visit and committed. I think it's a great fit for JJ, and I cannot be more excited for JJ and everything that's happening. He has also really showed out with Team Utah on their 17U Black team, and that's a team that we'll talk about here going down to Phoenix that has a chance to do some really special things. So Alan Gabalu, hope I said your name right, my guy. Alan has added some stuff to his game. You can tell that he has been putting in the work in the gym up in Layton with Coach Stanley. He is a absolute beast. If you've seen him play, you're just like, oh my God, he is a big dude. But he's got a little bit of, if you remember, like Glenn Davis, where he can step out to the mid range. He's got really good footwork, and if he seals you, it's a wrap. It doesn't matter if you've got 3 or 4 inches on him. His body is so wide and he is so strong, and he's getting a lot quicker vertically, I've noticed as well. So Alan picked up, I don't know how many offers between Alan and Tyron and Albert and Honor. I know that Coach Casey said that they got to start paying his cell phone bill. Another player I'm really high on and I'm excited to go watch is Vi Higbee. I know Vi transferred to Highland last year, and was maybe expecting to be able to play a little bit more. And sometimes what happens when you don't get the playing time you want, especially your junior year, maybe there's guys who would go, I'm just going to pout. And Vi did not do that. You can tell that Vi has continued to put in the work in the off season, and he is going to be a major piece for Highland. And I think Highland is a team to be considered in 5A as a prohibitive favorite in 5A. To go out and take state. And if that happens, similar to what I talked about with Noah, it's going to be because guys like Vi step up. He's hard to stop when he's going to the rim, and he's starting to play with a lot more control and IQ. So you can tell Vi really put in the work. Chamberlain Burgess has made the move over to Orem. I have not watched Chamberlain play much. I know that's maybe surprising, I don't know, but I don't get to watch a lot of the prospects play. And I try to tune into a couple of games for Orem down at Section 7, who they played a really tough schedule. I didn't get to watch the game. So I'm going to take Hector's word for it. He says Burgess has been able to showcase that floor running ability and stretch 4 skills. He continues to protect the rim, but he's a player that still has a lot of ceiling above him. He will continue to put on weight and will only get smoother with his footwork and shot-making ability. He could be a major get for a team in the state or surrounding areas. Yeah, 6'9", can really move, can really shoot. It's hard to miss with a guy like that. So Noah, we talked about a little bit. He has, I agree here with Hector. He turned the corner. He can certainly get his shot off from anywhere, but he has added some strength. His footwork and his foot speed is improving. And I think with the Rebels here in July, he's going to be a guy to continue to watch. He was like 2nd or 3rd in the EYCL in scoring. I'm not exactly sure which, but is a bucket getter, right? And at 6'4", he's got the size, he's adding the strength. Great name to watch. Stockton Blanchard was down at Section 7 with Harriman. I think Harriman surprised some people down there as well. I believe Stockton had a game where he hit a bunch of threes. Looks like a lights out shooter in the class of 2025. Hector says, let's see, Blanchard is starting to rise as of the more solid upside guards out there in 6A. Guard play will be important for Harriman, as it might be one of the heavy favorites going into the season, and he's getting some really good run. And then Hector's always got love for the 3A schools. So First Judge and now Brady Peary out at American Heritage. I didn't get to watch them play, but American Heritage made it all the way to the championship game of their bracket. And Brady was a big part of that, I'm sure, along with Mana Wintana. Peary's looks very strong. He's like the Alan Gabalu of guards. He's just a strong kid who, again, when he gets a smaller guard on him, even though his height isn't as tall, he's so stocky that he can move guys around. So, Brady had a great June. We got some others who we didn't write about. We got Hunter Jackson out of Woods Cross, Easton Duft, Tyson Forsey, and Bo Bierman. So those are some names who really helped themselves out in June. Thanks to Prep Hoops. Everyone go check out prephoops.com. And please go ahead and subscribe. I'm going to pull up one more thing. This is a bit more of a review as we look at some of the clubs and how they fared in the spring, and what some clubs are going to be looking to do here in July. I'll try to make this quick. Jeez, I'm already at 20 minutes. I said this would be fast. I've talked for 20 minutes. Pray for my wife, y'all. Um, so we've got this interesting thing happening with Puma, and so B Will, Team Utah, Legacy 16s, Utah Next Level Basketball. I think that's it on the Puma circuit. Yeah, that's it. So here's what's happening with Puma in case anybody cares to know, but it's actually pretty cool. So in Phoenix in 2 weeks during the live period, there are teams who qualified from the Puma Next to play. If you finish in the top 16, then you qualify for the Pro 16 tournament in Phoenix during the live period. This live period is going to be crazy because you still have a bunch of other teams who didn't qualify that are still playing. And also, you have the JUCO Advocate 48, where Brandon and his team has identified 48 high-level JUCO players who are going to be back down in Phoenix. So there are going to be college coaches all over the Legacy Sports Complex down in Mesa. It's going to be a great event. You don't have to go check it out because it's Phoenix and it's July. But if you are there or if you want to be down there with your kids, it's pretty awesome. So for Team Utah, for the 15, 16, and 17U Black, all three of them qualified for the Pro 16 tournament. Now, I believe I have this correct, but if any one of those three teams wins the tournament at 15, 16, or 17, then Team Utah Black is automatically earns a spot in the Pro 16 next year for 15, 16s, and 17s. So all three teams will become Pro 16 teams, which has a whole bunch of benefits to it, including I think some financial benefits from Puma. I don't know how all that works, but it's pretty awesome, right? That they can earn their way in and they can be on the Pro 16 circuit next year. So that's at stake in Phoenix. Now in Omaha or in Lincoln at the end of July, they have the next tournament. And so B-Will, Team Utah Red, if Team Utah Black does not win in Phoenix, then Team Utah Black, Legacy, Utah Next Level Basketball, they'll all go to Lincoln, and there's going to be a big tournament, a big next tournament there. And at that tournament, if you win that, any one of the teams, then that program gets into the Pro 16. So, and then I even think if there's also a live period event in Indianapolis that I think the same thing exists if they win that. So there's multiple opportunities for teams in the Puma circuit to get up there, and multiple opportunities exist for teams here in Utah. What I'm not as familiar with is what's happening with Utah Valley Prime and Utah Gold. I want to say it's their 17s. I think it's the Utah Gold 17s that qualified for the 3SSB event in Rock Hill, South Carolina during the live period. So I'm not sure if it's I don't think it's the same thing with Adidas, where if you win that as a gold team, then you get a contract to play in the 3SSB next year. I'm not, somebody can correct me on that. I'm happy to be wrong. Either way, right? Again, if we're looking at outcomes versus inputs, the inputs is the UV Prime, Utah Valley Prime, their first year in existence went out, and you can see right here, right? 11-1, 11-1, 12-0, 15, 16, 17s, all qualified for that. Which is huge, right? Utah Gold went 7-1, 7-1, 7. Maybe I didn't update these. I'm not sure. And I think from memory that the 17s were the ones who made it qualified for the 3 SSB. But certainly there's going to be coaches down at the Gold and the 3 SGB. So really big deal. The prospects are going to be looking to repeat a championship. You can see down here the young guns, the 15s, they went 10-2. Maybe I didn't update this. I'm not sure where these numbers came from. I'm pretty sure I pulled this data from reliable sources. But the 16s are 11-2. If I had to guess, I would say there's not a whole lot of teams who want to see the Utah Prospect 16U team in any sort of 3SSB tournament or the 17Us. I mean, I know they all had 5 losses, but there were some good, tough games. So And then the Rebels are on the EYCL. I think that there is a separate event outside of Peach Jam that's kind of in and around there. That could be pretty awesome for the Rebels and the aforementioned Noah Benninger. Anyway, so that's kind of how the teams wrapped it up. Again, I've said this 100 times, and I've gotten some feedback from people who are like, "Well, my team went this or we did this," and I can't. I'm just trying to grab the data that is available from the sneaker circuit sites. That's the only place that I can go grab it from if I want to keep this up to date and kind of give you a snapshot of how the teams are doing. I can't keep track of all of the independent tournaments, which are probably really great and awesome, and we love all of them, but I just can't keep them up to date. All right. So thank you all so much. Like I said, tomorrow I'm going to have Coach Russell from Weber State. I'm going to be hiking my gear up there to Ogden, get to interview him tomorrow. I'm pretty stoked on that. It's a holiday weekend. I know that there are teams who are out and traveling this weekend. There's a Puma event down in Vegas for sure. I don't know where everyone else is, but hit me up with where you're going to be playing. Send me a message. I seriously do want to try to promote as many teams and players as I can. I'm not just doing this for myself. I really enjoy podcasting and I really enjoy basketball and I really love the community here. And so I'm down to help and do what I can for the community. So if you're playing this weekend, please tag me, let me know. If you are looking for ways to get better, like I said, you 100% go check out what they're doing down at SportsFit, down in Highland with Jasper. You can go check out the verbalcommits.com page. Still use promo code Utah. It's got a ton of player movement, who's committing, who's signing, who's got offers, what school has offers. It's really helpful as you're preparing to go, visit or maybe send out some highlight film. If you see they've got 17 shooting guards that they've already offered in your class, maybe that's not a school that you want to be necessarily reaching out to if they haven't already reached out to you. So it's a great way to find places and colleges that maybe haven't made any offers. You can also create your own Player Plus profile there, and you can use promo code Utah to get 10% off of that. All right. Well, that's all I got for you here. 27 minutes. I can talk, and I'm pretty excited about it. Excited for this weekend. Hope everyone has a great and safe 4th of July. We'll see you next time. Talk to you next time. See you.